Mr. Champnell. What a miserable weakling, when this subject is broached, I still remain. I cannot utter the words the stranger uttered. I cannot even write them down. For some inscrutable reason they have on me an effect similar to that which spells and incantations had on people in tales of witchcraft. I suppose, Mr Lessingham, that there is no doubt that this mysterious stranger was not himself an optical delusion?' 'Scarcely. There is the evidence of my servants to prove the contrary.' 'Did your servants see him?' 'Some of them, yes.' 'Then there is the evidence of the bureau. The fellow had smashed the top right in two. When I came to examine the contents I learned that a packet of letters was missing. They were letters which I had received from Miss Lindon, a lady whom I hope to make my wife. This also I state to you in confidence.' 'What use would he be likely to make of them?' 'If matters stand as I fear they do, he might make a very serious misuse of them. If the object of these wretches, after all these years, is a wild revenge, they would be capable, having discovered what she is to me, of working Miss Lindon a fatal mischief, or, at the very least, of poisoning her mind.' 'I see. How did the thief escape? Did he, like the delineation, vanish into air?' 'He escaped by the much more prosaic method of dashing through the drawing room window, and clambering down from the verandah into the street, where he ran right into someone's arms.' 'Into whose arms?' 'A constable's?' 'No, into Mr Atherton's, Sydney Atherton's.' 'The inventor?' 'The same. Do you know him?' 'I do. Sydney Atherton and I are friends of a good many years' standing.' 'But Atherton must have seen where he came from. And anyhow, if he was in the state of undress which you have described, why didn't he stop him?' 'Mr Atherton's reasons were his own. He did not stop him, and, so far as I can learn, he did not attempt to stop him. Instead, he knocked at my hall door to inform me that he had seen a man climb out of my window. I happen to know that, at certain seasons, Atherton is a queer fish, but that sounds very queer indeed. The truth is, Mr Champnell, that, if it were not for Mr Atherton, I doubt I should have troubled you even now. The accident of his being an acquaintance of yours makes my task easier.' He drew his chair closer to me with an air of briskness which had been foreign to him before. For some reason which I was unable to fathom, the introduction of Atherton's name seemed to have enlivened him. However, I was not long to remain in darkness. In half a dozen sentences he threw more light on the real cause of his visit to me than he had done in all that had gone before. His bearing, too, was more businesslike and to the point. For the first time I had some glimmerings of the politician, alert, keen, eager, as he is known to all the world. 'Mr Atherton, like myself, has been a postulant for Miss Lindon's hand. Because I have succeeded where he has failed, he has chosen to be angry. It seems that he has had dealings either with my visitor of Tuesday night, or with some other his acquaintance, and he proposes to use what he has gleaned from him to the disadvantage of my character. I have just come from Mr Atherton. From hints he dropped I conclude that probably during the last few hours he has had an interview with someone who was connected in some way with that lurid patch in my career. That this person made so-called revelations, which were nothing but a series of monstrous lies, and these so-called revelations Mr Atherton has threatened, in so many words, to place before Miss Lindon. That is an eventuality which I wish to avoid. My own conviction is that there is, at this moment in London, an emissary from that den in the whilom Rue de Rabagas. For all I know it may be the woman of the songs herself. Whether the sole purport of this individual's presence is to do me injury, I am, as yet, in no position to say, but that it is proposed to work me mischief, at any rate, by the way, is plain. I believe that Mr Atherton knows more about this person's individuality and whereabouts than he has been willing, so far, to admit. I want you, therefore, to ascertain these things on my behalf, to find out what and where this person is, to drag her, or him, out into the light of day. In short, I want you to effectually protect me from the terrorism which threatens once more to overwhelm my mental and physical powers, which bids fair to destroy my intellect, my career, my life, my all. What reasons have you for suspecting that Mr Atherton has seen this individual of whom you speak? Has he told you so?" "Practically, yes. I know Atherton well. In his not infrequent moments of excitement he is apt to use strong language, but it goes no further. I believe him to be the last person in the world to do anyone an intentional injustice, under any circumstances whatever. If I go to him, armed with credentials from you, when he understands the real gravity of the situation, which it will be my business to make him do, I believe that spontaneously, of his own accord, he will tell me as much about this mysterious individual as he knows himself." "Then go to him at once." "Good, I will. The result I will communicate to you." I rose to my seat. As I did so someone rushed into the outer office with a din and a clatter. Andrew's voice and another became distinctly audible. Andrew's apparently raised in vigorous expostulation. Raised, seemingly, in vain, for presently the door of my own particular sanctum was thrown open with a crash, and Mr Sydney Atherton himself came dashing in, evidently conspicuously under the influence of one of those not infrequent moments of excitement of which I had just been speaking. Chapter 34